La 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 la. It says it's live streaming on YouTube, but let's just give it a minute. Give me a minute. Oh, I need to turn this heater off. No wonder it's hot in here. Okay, we are oh, I just hit my. Hey everyone. Today. Oh, and then I hear myself. Can you hear that? Oh, I hear it in my ears. Hold on, I gotta mute. Okay, a little bit of a rough start. Hey everyone. Welcome to Cheerful Conversations, episode 18. I am so excited about today's conversation, and it's kind of funny because the topic is rebellion, and I don't know who of you out there consider yourselves a rebel, but I definitely do in some respects. It's really funny because I'm a rebel, but I'm also a people pleaser and like a yes woman or whatever. Like I will do things to comply. I'm so good at following rules, but then there's certain things that I feel like, nope, not going to follow the rules. So we'll talk about this a little bit further and why we picked this theme. But I'm just so excited because we're going to rebel against the normal format just a little bit. And I feel like it's still going to turn out to be exactly the same because I've designed it to be a normal flowy conversation. But there are some things that I did not do today that I normally do. One, I'm wearing this like athleisure wear, which actually now it looks okay, but I don't know. Let me run the opening and then we'll talk more. So give me a second because my computer is acting like a weirdo. Okay, I figured, Jeff, that I would just bring you on. Okay, so now that you can see me a little bit better, and there is this weird thing on my screen, I'm wearing athleisure wear. I'm not wearing my rings. I kind of just half-assed my makeup today. What else did I do? We decided 3 minutes before we went live that we were going to drink. So 3 o'clock / 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So let's just cheers to this amazing conversation we are about to have. What are you drinking?
This is a nice dry Italian wine because I'm going to cook Italian tonight.
Oh, yeah. I made him crack that bottle open a little earlier than dinner time. And I was running. This is like a red Moscato. So it's been sitting in my little wine thing for a while. But anyways, so before I start going off on tangents, because we're already going to start doing that, Jeff, thank you so much for being on the show, being my co-host, co-pilot in today's episode. I'm going to let him talk a little bit about himself in just a minute. But on the theme of the episode being rebellion, let me tell you a little story. So there is this process that I put everybody through in terms of putting together these shows. And it's not anything daunting in my opinion, but it's been a work in progress, right? Like we've been doing the show for 11 months now, and this is the 18th episode. And so it was very, very rocky at the beginning, but being the process efficiency person I am, I wanted to try to get it to be this sustainable, like smooth moving production, right? That also can take my hands off of it. So there's this questionnaire that you have to fill out that helps, create conversation, brainstorming, all just the logistical stuff that I need. And Jeff had filled it out like months before, but was like also very vague about like, here's me and you know what I do and I'm free to talk about whatever. And so I was like, yeah, that's not detailed enough. So then when the second time came around, I told my assistant Kyle to reach out and just say, hey, just in case, the like procedures and questions have kind of changed. If you want to fill it out again, that would be awesome. And he's like, nope, I'll just use what I used before. So I was like, oh, okay. So that's how I came up with the topic of rebellion because, and I think I messaged you, right? Jeff, and
You did.
I was like, are you trying to rebel against my processes, or are you trying to be, I don't remember what I called you. I should maybe look it up. But anyways, while I do that, Jeff, why don't you tell everybody about you so that I don't have to.
All right. Let's see. I know we met a couple of years ago, both taking a training online because I think we're both addicted to learning new things and taking courses and growing and expanding. Basically, my last 10 years, I've owned an internet company teaching people in the wedding industry how to improve their businesses, how to make deeper connections with their customers. I'm a business coach, I'm a consultant. And then I do some stuff on the side that's a little different that I'm sort of bringing in together with this because I'm also an intuitive. And I'm also a musician. I've done that for a living for years and still go back and forth into the music world. And here I am today with you, April.
Yay. Okay. And while you said that, it was September 25th. I said, are you being a diva and protesting my OCD processes with the emoji? You know that emoji? It goes like this.
Yes.
Yes, it's like the whatchamacallit eyes, like the backwards V eyes. Like, yeah. That should be the thumbnail of this video, by the way. So we came into this rebellion. Everything that was part of the process of what I normally do with co-hosts on the show, we did everything different. We got on a call and talked for an hour, which then turned into an hour and a half because Jeff and I, so we met in like an online course program. And I don't think we actually really started talking until about a year ago.
Yeah.
So he was like commenting on my posts and I was like, who is this guy? Like, I'm like, where did I meet him? Because sometimes there's just so many people. And we just got into talking and it was just awesome. So, so anyways, we rebelled against all the processes. And so there's a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about today and do that might not be in line. And we might go off on so many tangents that we don't get through everything.
There is wine involved.
There is wine involved. So that just already spells trouble. So he already mentioned how we met each other and what he does. And the one question that I want to ask you is, what do you geek out on that maybe I don't already know?
Yes. I geek out on some fringy things, more in the paranormal world, because it's an area that I've always been sensitive to and I've had a lot of experiences in. And so I love to study spirituality. I want to expand my knowledge and my abilities in this area. And it's something I have a deep love for and something that kind of didn't give me a choice in a lot of ways in my life. It sort of kept coming up in my life. So I geek out on it. I enjoy it very much.
Yeah. So this is something I did know, which is one of the most endearing things that I love about Jeff, because it's one of those things where this is not like I don't know people that have this skill or whatever. You know, I can go and talk to, go get either, I don't know, what do you call them? Like go to a psychic or whatever. But like, this is like a real person who has a real story that like, I eat it up every time he talks to me about some of the crazy things. Like, can you just tell everybody just a little bit of like, when you were first talking to me about it, what was the thing that made you realize that you had this gift?
Basically out of survival, pretty much. I had an issue here in my home a couple of years ago where I had quite a haunting taking place here. And I didn't really know that's what it was at first, but it got kind of out of hand and I sought help, hey, get this out of my house. And I kept getting the same response from people who were in that field, that it's not your house, it's you. It's not your house, it's you. You're making this happen. And I kind of was in denial of it over and over. It took about the sixth person I spoke to where I took it seriously and realized I had more control over it, which again is kind of a metaphor for life. We have much more control over things in our life than we realize. We're not just victims of circumstance and everything. We do have more control. And so I started training how to control it. I studied with a bunch of mediums. I meditate every day. I use tarot cards. I went full wing nut on this because I needed to feel calm about it and feel good about it. And I'm in a much better place these days. With some help of other people, we cleared my house out because I had an accumulation of things happening here. I think we had 5 entities in the house here. It was getting kind of noisy. So took care of that. And so little by little, I'm bringing in my intuitive part of me into my coaching because it's very helpful.
Yeah. And what's funny about it, when he was telling me these stories, he's like, April, I feel kind of even weird sharing this with you because like, this isn't normal. And like, I'm a rational guy and like, this is weird. And like, everyone could look at me as a whack job, or that wasn't the word that you used.
Oh, I probably used worse than that. And I did a podcast the beginning of this year, or was the end of last year, I forget, but I outed myself, and I had not outed myself. I work in the business world, and I thought, oh my God, people hear this, they're going to not trust me.
Yeah.
And I did this podcast, and it went well, and people enjoyed it. And I put it on Facebook for literally 5 minutes. And then I freaked out and took it down because I chickened out. But now here I am with you, April, and I'm doing it again. And
this is on the internet forever. You can't get rid of it. I mean,
it's the wine. It's talking.
It's the wine. And we just started. Come on.
Such a lightweight.
By the way, wine is something that I drink like a glass of wine, and I go for white or rosé or something like that before I do an improv show. So helpful to just kind of calm the nerves.
Little down a little bit.
And I'm pretty comfortable here behind the camera in my office, talking to my computer. So it's not like it's anything scary, but I might get too like loose lipped. No, I'm kidding. So
bring it on,
girl. So one of the things that I loved about meeting Jeff was, this is something that I haven't experienced and I've always wondered about. And not to say that, I won't meet more people down the road, but it gave me that permission, and I think that whenever I meet people who have something unique about themselves, I'm just so fascinated, and I approach it all with a lot of non-judgment, because these are people's realities, and maybe I will never experience what he has experienced. But it's just really cool to listen to the stories and just kind of see what's happening. And so, yeah, it's super fun.
I think it's important for me to say about this too, is we all have abilities that we don't tap into. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah. It's not like I'm an alien or anything like that. Maybe I'm tuned in a little bit to a frequency naturally, but I know that by using our brain and expanding on it and working on it, you actually can tune into a lot of this. It's all happening around you all the time, but we live in this very narrow bandwidth of belief of what's possible, what we're going to experience, what we see, we judge, we ignore. We don't listen to our intuition, which is our superpower. Your intuition is definitely your superpower. It could really help us to avoid a lot of bullshit in our lives, and also could help us solve a lot of problems if we allowed ourselves to tune into it. But it is a practice. It's got to be a daily thing of trusting yourself and listening to it and not being afraid. And that was my biggest thing, was learning to not be afraid. It's okay. I'm safe. I'm going to be fine. And sure, a few people might say kook, but you know what? Do I really care? No.
Yeah, totally. And I love that. And what was I going to say? There was something that I was like, oh, I'm so inspired. And intuition is something that, as another fellow logical person, it was like, I need facts. And
yes.
And he and I have had so many conversations that have gone like super, super long, and talking about this like rebellion against data. Like, I'm almost like, whenever somebody says, well, I need to know the science that's behind this, blah, blah, blah. And I get it. Science is important for some things. I'm a total science nerd, but there is a line where intuition is the other ingredient. Like, it's also like when people say, well, the chances of like you getting cancer are X%, or they'll just say certain things. And I'm like, but then there's always that one like random situation that has nothing to do with it. It's just like, what is it called? Like a mutation in scientific terms.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it doesn't comply. So like, I feel like my life has been a bunch of mutations. Like, I'm always trying to do things against the grain, and it still seems to work out for me. It isn't maybe the most efficient, but I also don't know if I would have been any more efficient any other way. But the fact that I'm able to use my intuition more now and use it to manifest some things that I see myself wanting is kind of crazy. It's kind of cuckoo because it's like there's not a step-by-step process, that leads you to this end result. And that's the hardest thing for people who are control freaks like me. So,
well, I just want to say really quick, it's the map is not the territory always. We see this pre-written map, but that is not the territory itself. There are other ways to get there. There are undiscovered passages that we sometimes categorize them as not existing because this isn't the way I was taught. So it's not real kind of thing. And that's the thing in this last couple of years, especially, there's more there than meets the eye. And, rebellion for me too in my life it's really been kind of a survival thing because the other things weren't working for me. So I'm rebelling against doing it this way because I want these things to happen. Is there another way? What else is possible? Asking those questions. What else is possible?
Yeah, love it. And that's why I love this topic because I think Gretchen Rubin came out with this book, was it a year ago, maybe, called like The Four Tendencies. And I can't remember all of them, but one of them was the rebel. One of them was the obliger. One of them was the questioner, which is what I tested as. But I believe that I'm a rebel and I believe that I'm a questioner. And then I don't remember what the third one was or the fourth one was, but I felt like I was all of them. And I was like, would that be the rebel by saying, because she was saying that you have a tendency and one of them is your main one. And I was like, nope, I feel like I'm even. So that was me rebelling, even though I wasn't coded as a rebel,
Who wants to be labeled? Nobody wants to be labeled.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. So it's like, I feel like we're all rebels in some way, shape or form, but it's one of those things that I feel has given me the permission to, step into my authenticity and to prove that, you can do things other ways. I feel like that's what my business is all about, right? It's just like, do it your way. And your way is not going to be everybody else's way. So we're all rebelling against each other at some point, right?
That's individuality. Absolutely. And, as a self-employed person, you rebelled against the JOB path,
Mm-hmm.
and me too. I had a plan that I'm never going to have a job again in my life. I'm like, I did that for a while. I don't think I want to do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So cheers to all the rebels who are now entrepreneurs. Okay. So the next thing that we normally do is I pull a vulnerability is sexy card from my wonderful deck. Nice. But we had talked about this last week. What I normally do is I pull these icebreaker cards. Let me see if I can see myself. Icebreaker cards, right? So they've got the blue backing, but because these are the little more tame ones, like you're getting to know each other or whatnot. But there's an orange card that is all about getting vulnerable. These are a little bit more like scary. But I asked Jeff before if he wanted to choose if you'd like an icebreaker card or a vulnerability card. And at some point, I'm going to run out of the icebreaker cards, and this show is going to be all operating on the vulnerability cards.
No, I dig that. Just go for it.
So I don't know. Do you want to break the seal on the vulnerability cards?
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So, and I was also saying that some of these are like, ooh, I don't know if we want to talk about this, but maybe we'll just
lost my virginity at age. Are there gonna be things like that?
I don't know. I know that there's one that's like, what's the last thing you stole or something like that. So we both have to answer this, which is going to be okay, let's create this safe space. Safe space, no judgment to all the people that are watching. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, wow. This is deep. The question is, have you ever loved someone who didn't love you back?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Most definitely. That's painful because, you think that your love beam is going to go out and attach to them and come right back at you. It's reflect that love back at you. And yeah, for sure. I mean, I was kind of a shy guy when I was younger, and I would fall deeply in love, and your fantasy brain kicks in, creating these stories in your head, what's happening there. And it's all in your head, like most things are, the story in your head. And it's very heartbreaking. And the worst part is sometimes not being in love with yourself. And that can be, I think that's the worst love. ripping on yourself and talking shit about yourself. And that can deeply affect you, because if you love yourself, you attract so much more love to yourself because you're glowing.
Yeah. I feel like when I read this question, I was like, I feel like there's been a lot of times where the tides were turned, where somebody was like, I love you. And I'm like, yeah, I don't feel the same way.
I sort of like you.
Yeah, like I like you. And I mean, I very deeply care for everyone. Even if they're, if they're friends, if they're my husband, if my kids, like the way that I care for people is very, very deep. But there's definitely been times where I've wanted, in my past, where I've wanted relationships to be something, and then they just didn't. And I think a lot of it was my over hopeful attitude about like, okay. And just because I'm a chameleon in some senses, where I could literally get along with anyone. I talked about this with my husband a couple of years ago. We were like, well, if we weren't in the picture, like it was actually while I was writing my book, we were talking about, what do we believe? Because there's a whole section that I wrote about spirituality, which was like one of the hardest things I've ever had to write out publicly. And, I was telling him that I believed in fate, like all things happen for a reason. And he's like, I don't know if I believe that. And, we kind of got on this discussion of, if you weren't there, would I not be married? Or, or like, do you believe in soulmates, that type of thing? Like, because if he, if we had never met each other, would we, like, in an alternate universe, still be married? And we both kind of agreed the answer would probably be yes, because we're both like really wonderful people who like love being in partnership with others. And, I think that I looked at every relationship as like, this is the one. So, I think that I keep on playing with my hair. Sorry. It's just like going in my face.
It's okay.
I feel like I have to like clip it this way. I feel like, there's been so many times where I feel like I've loved somebody, they didn't love me back. And then, having to try to switch the story in my mind to be able to let it go. Right. That's always the hardest part too. But I think everybody goes through that situation. And I don't,
for sure.
I laugh too, because, one of the first boys that I had a crush on, this is like 6th grade, right? Like and I wrote about this in my book, like we were boyfriend, girlfriend for 299 days. And then like that 300th day was like, nope, we're done. And I'm like, he doesn't care about me anymore, and it was just like devastating. And we're still friends to this day, which is like awesome. But it's funny how like that can be so devastating. And I know that was 6th grade, but the feeling of like having feelings towards somebody, even if it's just a friend, and them not reciprocating is like, it sucks.
Yes, it's painful. I'm in the throes of online dating these days as a newly minted single man. It's not a place I thought it would be, but it's a place I'm at. And it's so I'm getting to experience all that all over again, because I'm meeting new people. And it's like, do I like this person? Does she like me? Am I attracted? Is it going to be any more? You see a great picture, but then you sit with someone and you realize, or you sit with them and you're like, wow, there's a lot more here to see. So I'm sure I will get to experience that, April. Yay. Could hardly wait.
But it's all part of the process, right?
It is part of the process. It's all going to be in my book someday.
Everything has to jive.
Yes.
All right. So the next part of the show that we usually talk about at this point is Cheerful Conversations, or not Cheerful Conversations, Cheerful News.
Cheerful News.
See, I'm getting really hot now. All of a sudden, it's like
you
the
are
alcohol,
getting so hot,
the neck cover. I'm like, ooh. I was cold earlier, but now it's like fire in here. So Jeff, you start with your Cheerful News story. What did you find?
All right. It's funny. You look in the news and it's like a non-ending shit show out there.
I know, right? See, this is why I love it, because find it. We have to find it, and we have to bring it and push it out.
Bring it. So sad. That's a search for happy, but it's all over the place. You just got to open your eyes and put your intention up. All right, so here's a story about Paul Wood from Lodi, California, who was having horrible headaches, went to his doctor. They sent him to see a neurologist, and they found this bleeding tumor in his brain, malignant tumor. Yeah, great news, right? Woo! So it wasn't looking good for Paul, and they were going to do the typical try to cut it out, chemo the hell out of him, but it wasn't, you might survive this. But he's a very religious fellow, and he turned to his faith and prayer, and a lot of people joined him in that. And now I would say this right off the bat, I'm not a religious person, really, particularly here. But what I liked in this, he went back to the docs, and it was gone. Tumor was gone. Doctors are blown away. Where the hell did your tumor go? He's like, afraid that sucker away.
Wow.
So what I got from that, again, and we talked about this, we think like a very linear way, but this is the outcome. We follow one path, and it isn't always the way. And obviously for this guy, Paul, he defied all the odds. Am I telling anyone not to go to their doctor and follow what's told? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But your power of intention, your brain is really, really powerful. We barely tapped into what is possible. And take that maybe in a smaller dose in your life. I don't think I could get that job. I don't think I could meet that woman. I don't think I could do that sport. I don't think I could write that book, start that business. I don't know, pick whatever you want. That's just a story in your head. That's all it is. If you have the intention and the belief behind it, you can make that tumor go away, maybe. I just was blown away by that. I love that. I love to be open to possibility. And when I coach people, like to talk about that, because I notice people have this story. They're locked into this story, and they don't want to step out of that little zone. And it's like, what else is possible here? So much more is.
So I should just outwardly say I'm going to be the next Oprah, even though everybody and their mother says
I believe you. I'm going to have you keep saying it. If you believe it, who knows where she's going to take you. Oprah's already taken. You're going to be the next April.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Touche. Okay, so my news story, I actually just did a rebellious, oh my God, let me find something at the very last minute. So this is kind of on the comedy side of things. So, and I actually haven't seen the episode, but I heard about either episode actually. So like a couple weeks ago, what's his name? Pete Davidson, former ex-fiance for Ariana Grande. He was making fun of Dan Crenshaw, is that his name? Dan Crenshaw, who had the eye patch. And, everyone was like, that was a low blow. Like, just don't do that. And it was not well received.
No,
but but this past weekend on SNL, he won the race. He actually appeared on Saturday Night Live and roasted Pete Davidson and I have to watch this. I feel like I have the video up. I have to watch this.
I loved it.
But he, they kind of like made amends, and it was like, and I'm going to say this just because I'm still reeling off this amazing event I was at last night with Michelle Obama and Oprah. Oprah, I love you. I want to be you. But Michelle Obama too, like, oh my God, we're like sisters. She was like reiterating that whole quote, like when they go low, we go high type of deal. And that was like a very high moment. And, after all of the political craziness with all the negativity, all the jabbing at each other to win out, the candidacies for these, for the elections and everything. It was just great to see, and I mean, I wonder what would have happened if he didn't win. But at the same time, it's just like, okay, comedy sometimes is a little, pushes the edges a little bit. And yeah, it might not be appropriate, but for them to come together after that and just be okay and, give a little dose of medicine, then everything is good. So
it made me very happy seeing that. It just was a really positive moment. It's like, if these guys can make good after that, what's possible for you in your life?
Exactly. Love it. Yay. And I just love comedy. Okay. So here's where we start talking about rebellion and all the fun stuff. But I wanted to start by playing around with some cards. So a lot of times, Jeff has been mentioning that he, do you pull like tarot cards every day?
Every day.
Okay. So I've been very fascinated with tarot cards. I had like one tarot card reading. I've had two at this point in my life. And I don't know what any of the cards mean. So it's not, it doesn't make sense to me, but whatever comes out is just magical. So I wanted to have you pull maybe like one card for each of us and like just explain like maybe just in terms of like what is the message that we need to know right now.
Okay.
And we'll see what happens there. So
okay, I'm gonna do this right now.
And I don't know how this works. So if you have a process, then
and
maybe you should explain it too.
Yes. Okay. Here's the thing. It's not like there's a magic spell happening in here or anything. Okay. These are all representative. They're archetypes. They're symbolic. The meaning, there are different translations for the meanings of these cards, but it's equally as important what your intuition tells you when you pull the card and how do you apply that. I use them for certain questions. I use them if someone is interested when I'm doing coaching. I will use them, and we'll talk about it because it's like Rorschach or something. It triggers things. It triggers questions. It triggers possibilities. Anything does that, I think adds to it, and it opens up maybe new paths. So,
okay.
So should I pull one for you?
Pull one for you first.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. This is right on the money for me. Right on the money for me. This 7 of Cups.
Okay.
This is definitely.
That means that you're very thirsty.
Okay, 7 of Cups. If you look at this person, it looks like a lot of stuff happening in these cups, right? Mm-hmm. You see some jewels maybe happening there. And then there's some that look kind of not so good. There's a snake in there. It's a mixed bag of things in these cups. And this person standing in front of them, this represents choices. And sometimes too many choices is not freedom in our lives. Sometimes we get paralysis with too many choices because we're afraid of making the wrong choice. So we get stuck, sitting there, analysis paralysis. Like, what do I do? I know when it comes to love, what this card means is you have choices, but you need to figure out what you really want. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise, it's like you can't chase 3 rabbits at the same time. It may seem fortuitous if you're a hunter. I have 3 rabbits in my path. Well, if you go after all 3, you're not going to get any. You know what I mean? You're going to do a crappy job doing this. And that's the other thing. In your business, we're going to talk about business, you have all these different tasks. And if you decide to try to do everything yourself because you think no one else can do it, you're probably going to do a crappy job on some of these things. And you're going to drop the ball in certain areas. So what's important? What is your superpower? What's going to work best for you? And then outsource some of it. So for me, that means be clear on who I want to meet for a romantic relationship and not settle. So this is a good card for me. Thank you, me.
Awesome. So do you just pull one card a day to just be like, what?
Well, I'll pull one, and sometimes I'll pull 3, but I don't pull 3 generally. A 3-card pull would be past, present, future sort of thing, and I kind of know get the past.
Yeah, because like, when I went to go talk to somebody, they were like flipping, but then they were like flipping them in rows.
There's different flops. There's 5. The thing is, as a rebel, there are no rules with this, right? You can do whatever you want. I never read the instructions. I was like, I don't need these. But I mean, I hang in some circles of a lot of psychics and people that do this all the time, and I'm learning, and I would like to learn more because there are a lot of fine details in these cards when you really look, and it's like, and they all have representations. There are, there's archetypes, there's meaning, and I don't really know all that. I just know the feeling I get, and I know what it's telling me, and I know what this one is. A real obvious card for me. It's telling me, be clear.
So when you look at the cards, do you kind of look at the meaning of it, and then you like kind of intuitively apply it to the area of your life that is, it seems like prevalent where that shows up.
Well, right? I meditate on the question first. That's so then it's a direct link, you know what I mean? So then it's my intuition. What do I pull? Okay. Because, who knows what I'm going to pull out of this deck? This is my question. How does this message work? And it's funny. I mean, it almost always does. It has a message that I could take from. Sometimes I'm confused and I walk away like, the hell was that?
Yeah.
That's bullshit, man. I don't agree with that. Let me just pull another card because I don't like that answer,
Do you pull another card?
It doesn't. I have, but that's not really how it works.
Yeah.
It makes me have to think about this, and I like because it triggers my brain. It makes me kind of really concentrate on what is this meaning? What else could be true? How can this be helpful? What is the positive outcome of this? That's the thing about tarot cards. Even, hang on a second. There are some cards that scare the absolute shit out of people, okay? That's just and it's not meant to. For instance, this card freaks people out. The Tower. Doesn't look very good, does it?
Yeah.
You are going to jump from a burning building. No, that's not what it means, okay? It's symbolic, though, of the apple cart's going to get tipped, probably. Some things are not, I mean, we can relate to this. Sometimes stuff has to get very uncomfortable in our lives to make changes. Sometimes we're waiting for a shove, you know what I mean? And sometimes that shove can be very unpleasant, but it can be a huge opportunity sometimes too, because maybe we weren't so happy with something and we were just kind of hanging in that groove in the record, and we're just going to keep hanging in that groove. And we need our ass kicked a little bit too. And then we're like, oh my God, I got my ass kicked. But then, wait, now there's all these new possibilities have opened up that were not available to me before. So I kind of welcome the Tower because it means let's shake something up here. Because there are other possibilities. It's not a negative thing.
So I feel like, I mean, it's one of those things you kind of have to before you pull. I mean, I'm just trying to get some like guidelines around how one might like buy some tarot cards and utilize them. But you have to be somewhat clear in the question that you're asking. So if I was just like, what is the message that you need to hear today, or something like that?
You could say that. You could do that, and then think about that. And then if you got this card, what is the message that you need to hear today? And I would look at this, and it would pretty much tell you the same thing I just said. I would say you have a lot of choices here, or maybe you're juggling way too many things. You know, let's look at all these things. Where are you dropping the ball because you're juggling too much? Maybe it's time to focus. Yeah.
And I think that's also like just very applicable to so many people. Like, I feel like that's me every day. Right.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
But it's also, I think it also gives you that awareness. So even if it's, it's not like there's anything spooky, it's just kind of like, if you are in this place where I don't have a direction, or I'm trying to figure out what it is that I want to do today. That is a way that you can pull and just see, is this going to be my focus? What is up with my hair today?
Well, and I have my glasses, I think, are bent. I keep like,
my hair is rebelling. It's
my glasses are rebelling. So there you go. We're really working this theme today.
So if I were to, so you're going to pull a card for me in just a second.
Yes.
Like if I were to say like, I want to know what I want to know, or what I need to know today about this area of life, would you be like, could we do that?
You can ask me whatever you want.
Okay. Oh yes, because we can be a rebel and do whatever we want. So okay, so let's do this. So when we pull the card for me, I want to know, like, what do I need to know today about, it's like, what area of life can I look at? Let's do my family. Let's like, what do I need to know about my family today?
Okay. All right. What do you need to know? What is the message you need to know about your family for the greater good today?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. Sorry to shuffle these into pull.
Yeah. I'll just like very
I'm connected with you right now, April. So this is not a problem.
Aren't we always connected?
Yes, indeed. All right. So this is
it the Tower?
No, it's not the Tower. This is the Fool.
Uh-oh.
Major Arcana. Now, this is I like this card, actually.
Okay.
Imagine your brain goes to Fool, what the hell? This is if you look at the person, I'm sorry, I'm trying to hold this up so you can see them. He's kind of like la da 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 da. He's walking along, he's having a good time, but look where he's walking. Now,
like on a ledge.
He's on a ledge, and the dog's like, hey, Skippy's saying, careful there, dude. What this generally, the meaning I get from it, here's the thing. If you look up cards online, the meaning, you're going to get 500 different meanings, which is very confusing. So I take that with a bit of a grain of salt. What are some of the classic meanings, and then what do I get from it? What I get from it is, in relation to this, moving forward, we need to not worry about all this all the time. The thing is, you won't go anywhere if you're worried about who's going to get hurt, who's going to do this, whose feelings are going to be bothered. Sometimes you have to take on a happy-go-lucky, it's going to be okay. You know what I mean? It's going to be fine, and stop freaking out over what the hell could happen. Oh my God, there's mountains, there's cliffs, there's bacteria. Did anybody wash that glass before he drank out of it?
Yeah.
It's like this is a happy dude.
Yeah.
Now, there are, sure, when we're not aware of every possible pitfall, shit happens. It does. But we can't always be aware of everything, and we got to let go. And this is a good one also for people starting businesses. I've pulled this before. If you're an entrepreneur, you have to have a bit of the fool in you. Because guess what? If you thought about everything that can happen before you start a business, you will not start the business. Oh my God, I could lose money. Oh my God. It's like, yeah, and a meteorite could come through your roof and take your head off. Is that working for you?
Mm.
So it says to me, April, about you, the message I have for you is this is a bit of letting go and don't worry about it. You are smart enough and tuned in enough that you will see the pitfalls, you will deal with them. There's no sense experiencing them in advance.
So you're telling me not to worry so much about the fact that my son keeps on forgetting to bring home his homework or do his homework. Okay, I get the message. No.
Yes. Well, that doesn't mean you don't do anything about it, because
I know.
This is a pitfall.
Oh, I charge him money when he doesn't. So they have these he's in 4th grade, right? So we're trying to get discipline going here.
Gotcha.
He gets these pink slips. It's like, you've been pink slipped when you forget, and they have to write down like the homework assignment that they forgot to do. They have to write down the reason, and then their parents have to sign it, which I think is brilliant. But I told him that anytime you get a pink slip, I charge you $1. Nice. And so, so this is his 3rd one for the year. And like, we're only like 3 months in. So I know, but I'm like, why are you doing that? And he's like, I forgot. And yeah. So
he sounds like a brother to me in a lot of ways. That was me all the time.
Yeah, and that's not me. So maybe I
get that. Tiger mom.
I need to lay off a little bit.
Well, just don't worry about, okay, you're on that. You know about it. You're on it. It's the things you don't know about. And we worry about the unknown knowns. We know the known knowns, the unknown knowns.
Yeah.
Where does that get us?
Yeah.
Anxious.
Totally true. So yes. I got to let go just a little bit more. Okay. All right. Yeah. Try not to be so controlling. Okay. So I've been telling Jeff since Monday that I got this thing on Amazon that I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And this is kind of on the theme of tarot cards. But thank you so much for pulling those. No problem. So I was looking and I was like, I should probably get like a set of tarot cards for myself and just figure out how to do it.
You should.
I was gonna put it on my wish list, but then I thought that my family might think I'm Yahoo. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to gift it to myself. But in the search, guess what I found? Ready? Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Nice. So yeah, it's like the Oracle with Attitude. So I figured since you just pulled 2 cards, I'm going to pull 2 cards and you'll get to see what this is. But the funny thing is, this is like free promo for this Rebel deck. So it's a funny and in your face Oracle deck with 58 message cards, blah, blah, blah. It answers the question, what does life want me to know right now? This deck is similar to tarot in that you ask a question and get an answer. Unlike tarot, which takes time to learn, Oracle decks can be used by anyone anytime, and they're clear and direct, and so you can ask a question, but maybe it's just the same question. What do you want to know? What does life want you to know right now?
What does life want me to? That's a great question.
Okay, so the cards have like these like sayings on both sides, so I will I basically just have to read it to you. So I'm going to pick a card.
You're going to tell me what it means. Your gut.
Yes. So am I doing you or me first?
Whichever you want. Ladies first?
Ladies first. Okay. So Rebel deck, tell me what life wants me to know right now. Okay. All right. Okay. So it says, you need food in your belly. Eat a fucking taco.
That's always good advice, actually.
Which is funny because I was like, oh my God, I've got so much work to do. I had to like send my newsletter out this morning and I had to just prepare for the show. And I was like, oh my God, it's like 12:30. I have to eat. And I have my Amazon Echo telling me at noon, like it's time to eat lunch. And then at 1:00, it's like, have you eaten lunch yet? And I was supposed to take a shower at 1. But so anyways, I was running late. So I thought that was funny. But then on the back, they give you like a secondary one. So a secondary comment about that same thing. So I don't know if you can see it.
It's a little blurry for me.
Here, hold on. Let me see if I can get it super close.
Have you
eaten? You're acting like a big ass baby.
You're hangry.
Right? It's like, so you need to, I don't know which one you're supposed to read first, but I think you're supposed to read the white side first and then the black. So maybe somebody will correct this for me, but they said like read the front and then read the back. But then they said shuffle the cards face with the circle side up and then read the front and the back. I'm like, which one's the front? So I'm assuming that this is the front.
So my question for you, April, what do you take from that though? Because that's the most important thing with Oracle decks. There are tons of them out there. They're going to tell you things. They're going to give you pictures and they represent things. But what does it tell you right off the bat? What do you get from it?
I mean, I think that this is like very tied into my 2019 plan. And I was talking about, I always feel like my satisfaction on my nutrition is poor because I don't really I don't really set intentions. It's like, I want to eat healthier, but what does that mean?
Right.
And what's ironic is that this year I decided, like, instead of trying to eat all the healthy stuff, because God damn it, I'm going to eat tacos and burgers and stuff. Like, I'm going to eat like Taco Bell and fast food whenever I want. And it's not too much, but I mean, God, the McRib is out right now. And that's like my favorite. So I'm going to eat that stuff. And I don't want to limit myself to what I eat because I am working out 4 times a week, which is like the most I've worked out in a long
awesome
time. And I'm 2 to 4 times, I'll 2 to 4 times a week, which is good. But because of that, I'm burning more calories and I need more calories. And instead of trying to eat salads all the time, because I did eat, here's the rest of my, I ate some
a big container there, April.
Yeah, because it was like a kit. It was like a Caesar salad kit that I threw like a lot of chicken into, and it took me a couple days to eat. So, it's like I can eat healthy, but what's the bigger focus? Like, what would make me actually be like proud at the end of the year and say like my satisfaction rating goes up a little bit more? And my issue is that I don't always eat. Like, I don't always eat breakfast. Then, sometimes I'll wait till like 2:00 to eat lunch, and then I'm like starving. And then of course I'm going to eat something unhealthy. And then dinner gets kind of ruined because I ate such a late lunch. And so it's like, I might be eating 1.5 meals a day, and I don't really snack. Yeah. But so, I mean, I think that's the big takeaway is like, my goal for next year, and I've already started it now because it's like, why wait? Is to eat 3 meals a day. Like that's my goal for improving my nutrition in 2019. And then if I can do that, then I can see if I want to change it up. So it's just, I think it's reiterating my, like what my path is, and just a reminder of like,
there you go.
I can eat whatever I want, but hey, you have to eat, period.
Well, that's great. So you took something out, and that is the basis for any Oracle cards. You don't have to have magic powers. Nobody has magic powers. Yeah. It's just your intuitive ability. What lesson can you learn? And take that as a metaphor for life. Of every situation, what can you take out of this? What can you learn from something that's going to better your life or better someone else's life?
Yeah. And you can do this too with just general stories of unfortunate things that happen in your life. Like, what is the learning? There's always going to be some magical learning from anything that
totally
good or bad. All right. Are you ready for me to pull a card for you?
I am. So let me ask, what does Spirit want me to know right now?
Okay. So here it is. I'm like trying to like shuffle it, which is.
It says eat a taco and be like, what?
I took that card out. Or am I not supposed to do that? Am I supposed to keep
it right back in?
Oh, put it right back in. Okay.
Yeah, we don't take them out.
You're acting like a big ass baby. Okay. Okay. Let me just do one quick shuffle. Do, 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 do. Okay. Circle side up. I'm just going to pull right in the middle of this card.
Okay.
All right. I'll read the front first. It just says love.
I like that.
Okay.
So I'm all about that.
Then it says, get some, give some. It will cheer your ass up.
Man, I'm on that. Think about that. That is my mission lately. That is what I am doing. As much as I don't enjoy the online dating thing, I'm committed to love. I'm committed to falling in love. It's important to me. It feeds me. The energy of love is huge. When I meditate at the frequency of love. I mean, I'm all about that. I'm all about that. So that you couldn't have pulled a better card. Seriously.
I know. And it was funny
crazy.
because too, it was like very specific to the relationship piece, which is what you pulled from your tarot. I don't know. These might be better than the regular tarot cards.
They could be. You know, I just bought these because these are kind of the classic original deck.
Yeah.
There's a bazillion different ones out there. And whatever speaks to you. I wanted to learn these just so I understood it first. And then I'm going to go get my, whatever floats my, fancy. I'll get my crystals or whatever.
That's a place I haven't gone yet. And so I'm interested in learning about that too.
Yeah.
I actually did get like I don't even know if it's a more classic tarot deck, but it was something that was like something New York Times bestseller. So I think that there's something else that goes in it. It's like a set. So we'll have to play around with that in offline conversations. And I'm like, how does this work? I don't know, but they're like really pretty cards.
Cool.
Not the scary ones. Okay. What else can we talk about rebellion? Like I have this whole like list of questions that we could have talked about and we have 10 minutes left. So let's just dive into one of them.
Okay.
Let's see. We talked about the tarot. We talked about we actually talked about that. The idea of choice. We talked about that. We talked about it all. See? We were trying to rebel and we still covered it all.
We stuck to the agenda. So what does rebellion really mean to you? I want to hear, what does it mean to you? Like, what is the feeling you attach to rebellion?
Well, I think what's interesting is that I feel like rebellion comes with this negative connotation.
It does. Shooting, killing, burning things down.
Yeah. Or like doing something like against
authority,
like against normal authority, whatever. And I think that's why
I love that.
It comes with this negative charge, but of course this is Cheerful Conversations. So what's the upside of rebellion?
Yes.
What is rebellion here for? And how can we leverage rebellion to like amp up our lives in a freaking amazing way?
Oh man, I mean, it's like we get caught in patterns in our lives or situations that we fall into this kind of mundane existence, and it's like because that's what we think we're supposed to be doing, and it's like, this is not a dress rehearsal. It's like, is that it? Is this as good as it's going to get? I'm settled. I'm tucking into the settling. This is okay. This is what I deserve. It's like, what if you rebelled against one small piece of your life that's not working for you anymore? What if it's the way you deal with a relative, that you have this dysfunctional conversation? What if you rebelled against that, even if you're uncomfortable with it? What else could be true here? Maybe by rebelling, maybe the other side is going to find a possibility because they're stuck in the same groove with you. You're relating on a certain, rebel against the way you're relating that's not working.
I love that.
It'll open up a new possibility. What else is possible here? Sure, it may not be comfortable, but so what? Half a life is not comfortable. But, without uncomfortable, there has to be friction to get the fire to move on. So, or some bullshit like that.
I love that. Yeah. And I think that,
glasses are driving me crazy.
We're all like my hair and then your glasses. I feel like if we were to look at rebellion, and I think we already talked about this, but the whole idea that when we rebel against whatever we see as normal, we kind of we're almost like testing the statistic, testing the data. And it's almost fun to see that, the cookie cutter thing that all experts say that you should do is actually not the thing that you should do. And I even look at myself as like, okay, so I'm a life coach. It's taken me 3 years to really embrace saying I'm a life coach when
I know, I struggle with it too. I do.
But I'm saying it, and I think before it was just like I'm a happiness and productivity coach, which is a little bit more direct in terms of the type of stuff that I do. But essentially, I am a life coach, and it was one of those things that I really, really struggled and rebelled against. But at the same time, I was, I think that even people, when I was rebelling by saying I'm a work-life balance coach or a happiness and productivity coach or a whatever coach, it doesn't, like, the overall message is that I'm helping you improve your life. So that makes me a life coach. But here's the thing. I know that there's a stereotype of life coaches, and I am not that. And so maybe I'm rebelling against the stigma that comes with being a life coach. And part of my latest business, thoughts or whatever it is this idea of like, life coaches don't need to be this. I don't even know what the beliefs are. Like, I should probably ask that in like my next newsletter. Like, how would you define like what a life coach does? And maybe it's just the idea that feeling like you have to get a life coach means that there's something wrong with your life right now. Right. And that's totally not true. Like, I already work with successful people, but sometimes they get into their head that they're not successful enough. Right. And it's like, okay, well, let me show you that, but let me like still help you, like, still get to that like second level of badassery. Right. And, or that next level, because you've already amassed how many levels, but I'm going to take you to the next level because you're at this place where you're stuck. But that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong. No. It's just that, you are brave enough to get an outside perspective, because sometimes those outside judgments can be tough. And sometimes you don't even realize that you're the one that's placing the most harsh judgment on yourself. And so to be able to be open to receiving that feedback, and like in your face and in a very intimate way is huge. Like, it's not a sign of weakness. And so I don't know. I feel like I need to get on a soapbox about that. And then just to say that I'm not your typical life coach. Yes, I help you accomplish your goals, but I'm not the typical. I'm the rebel coach, or I don't know. I actually do know a couple people who coined themselves as a rebel coach, which I think is really, really cool, because it's like, hey, you could still be successful and do things a different way. You totally can. So yeah, that's definitely what I'm here.
It's making me think about that too. Like, it's because I'm starting to incorporate some intuitive stuff with regular life coaching, business coaching. I don't know. I'm sure people are doing this too, reading cards, and are intuitives out there. I just don't know them. Maybe it's not so typical. It's rebellious. I've always been rebellious because I just didn't want to do it the same way as everyone else. Didn't feel right, and I wanted to feel good. Yeah. Feel real, feel authentic, and think about it. This country wouldn't exist without rebellion. America is rebellion. Yeah. Yeah, we are natural rebels here. It's like, no, we're not gonna do it that way anymore. Screw that. We're gonna do it our way. And I think it kind of worked out okay.
Yeah. To the rebels. Woohoo! Okay, I finished my glass, and then I have a whole bottle that I need to go through. So wanted to close on one last question, which I always use.
Losing the glasses.
Are you taking them off?
I can't see you, but it's okay, because they're driving me nuts.
As long as you can hear my words, like I should just cut my hair right now. So I always end with a Ask April Anything question. These are questions from actual people who are curious about life, or, something that they want to know, some wisdom. So I tag team a response just because I know that, it's just good to get two different perspectives, and sometimes they're the same. So the question this week is, how do you evaluate what's next for you versus just going with the flow?
Nice.
So I think that what this question is asking, if you have a different take on it, it's this idea of, do you try to plan, or do you just let life just happen? Or how do you decide if you're going to just let life happen versus going with the flow? You want to answer first?
Okay. Okay. Somebody asked that question. Somebody has asked that question. I think for me, I think it's when I'm working with people, I think it's really important to elicit your values, because if you go against your own personal values, it's not going to work out well. It's going to be constant, unpleasant friction. You're going to constantly be moving back and forth. Things are not going to line up. So I would take a little time just to be clear on what's really important for you in your life, not what you think should be important and not what other people are telling you is important. What's important to you? What is close to your heart? What jazzes you in your life? What's the thing that moves you? And, it's almost like a filter. Your values in life is your filter. So you take this question, you put it through the filter first, because if it's not in alignment with your values, your odds of success are going to be crappy. It's just true. We will sabotage the results because it's not in alignment with our own personal values. So I would try to figure out with someone else, find out your values first, because it'll reveal itself crystal clear. I'm kind of in the middle with the plan versus letting things happen. Things are going to happen along with your plan. You could plan the crap out of everything and still life is going to throw you curveballs through it. But if you are clear on your mission because it's aligned with your values, it's going to be much clearer the path.
I love it. I love that. And I feel like the conversation always comes back to values. It's one of those things where it's like, if you don't have those figured out, please come talk to me or Jeff, because that's like, you need that as your moral compass.
Right, totally.
No matter what, like your like religion or spiritual preferences or whatnot, like you need to understand what those values are that are most important to you.
Yes.
I'm going to add a more logistical spin to this is the, how do I decide? Because this is something that I struggle with every day, right? It's like, how do I decide, if I'm going to just be like, okay, I'm going to just let it go, or if I'm going to like push forward with a plan. And usually my plans are very intricate and crazy and exhausting. So I just almost take it from a place of like, what causes me overwhelm? If I'm going to get stressed out about it, it's not worth it. So I'm going to just go with the flow. If it's something where it's like, okay, I could really benefit from actually having a course of action and know what that plan looks like, then I might spend some time trying to look at the possible options. So I might, if it's a big daunting task, but it actually has a path to completion, like writing a book, I had to kind of plan that out. But then I also had to go with the flow, and be flexible with that plan, which is why I always talk about the flexible plan.
Mm-hmm.
You should have a plan, but you need to kind of keep it open. But sometimes there are times when I'm not feeling it, or it's going to cause me more anxiety to try to execute a plan rather than just going with the flow. So
Right.
I will just go with the flow. But sometimes I also will need a structure, because if you go with the flow too much, you might just get lazy. So it's
Watch Netflix all day. Like if that's your flow.
Yeah. So I think that it is an intuitive feeling, feeling like, is this worth the stress? And if it is worth the stress, then maybe you go with the flow until you're ready to make the plan. So it is all about that feeling of, how do I feel today? Do I want to just wing it? Do I want to just go for it? So hopefully whoever asked that question, there's your answer.
And stop looking at the staircase. Just look at the step in front of you.
Yes.
Staircase will freak your ass out.
Yes.
Just the step next. That's it.
My coach calls it the 3-foot toss instead of like the 100-foot toss. It's like, what can you throw 3 feet away from you?
Yes.
And get to that and then move on to the next.
There you go.
Never look too hard at the far game, which,
Yes.
I mean, sometimes you might need to, you want to have that, but trying to do that thing,
it can be a little intimidating.
Exactly. And then it's just paralysis. So anyways, we are done for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Whoever catches it on replay, or if you're watching it live, we never know. But we just want to throw this amazing conversation out into the interwebs for you, and hope you get inspired. Go find something to rebel against, but do it in a positive way, and let us know what you did. And so with that, we'll have another show again after the American Thanksgiving holiday, and we'll see you then. Thank you so much, Jeff, for being here with me. It's so pleasure. Fun, and I've got to go drink some water now to sober back up. But you get to go make dinner now.
I have to make dinner.
Yes. All right, everyone. See you later. Bye.